Hi there, it's Nicole for Lawn Fawn, and today I have a pull tab slider card showcasing the new Stinkin' Cute stamp set and the slide-on over dies. I thought it would be fun to create this card where the little female skunk slides over to the other skunk, and it's all in this great little meadow scene. I'm going to go ahead and die cut a couple of rectangles using the stitched rectangle dies from Lawn Fawn. I've die cut those from watercolor cardstock. And then I'm going to go ahead and die cut my additional pieces to build my background scene using these dies. I'm using the flower border die. And then I'm also going to use some of the new grassy hillside border dies. And I love that these coordinate so well with other previously released dies from Lawn Fawn, like this flower border die. Also the simple, or the stitched hillside border dies rather, they just coordinate really nice with them, so they're great for scene building. I just drew a little line there because I want this first layer to perfectly match up with my flower layer. Then I also need one additional layer, and I thought I maybe could get two out of one rectangle, and I can't, so I'll just set those aside. I am going to go ahead and die cut two more rectangles, one for that last grass border and another for my background. Now from this back grass border, I'm not only going to die cut my grass, but I'm going to die cut the long straight slide on over die from Lawn Fawn from that piece. So the skunk is going to move from right to left. The little pull tab will be on the left side. While I'm die cutting the grassy hillside border, I might as well die cut that little notch there. These slide on over dies make it so easy to create all kinds of different slider cards. This is just going to be a pull tab slider card. I find it kind of easy, and it works really great with this design because it's all going to be hidden. I'm going to go ahead and add my color to these pieces. I decided to, instead of die cutting things from solid cardstock or pattern paper, to go ahead and add color to everything myself with distress inks or coloring in with Copic markers. I'm using Mowed Lawn and Twisted Citron distress inks for the grass, just blending those two colors together. I have a scrap piece of paper there to keep my fingers out of the ink. Just a really quick application of these inks to the watercolor cardstock. One thing about this watercolor cardstock is the inks blend really easily, but you definitely can see finger marks in the ink. That's why I use this scrap piece of paper. Now I'm just using my paper to carefully mask off the flowers on the flower border design so that the leaves and stems get colored green, but the flowers themselves do not. I'm going to add additional distress ink to those. Now before I go any further, I'm going to spritz those with water from a distress sprayer and then blot them dry with a paper towel. Then I'm just going to carefully mask off the flowers one by one. I ended up using the Post-it tape because that's definitely easier. And I'm alternating between Picked Raspberry and Barn Door distress inks. And I'm just going to gradually work my way across my little flower garden, adding color. And I'm just moving these Post-it notes every other one. It makes it super easy. I didn't bother masking off the leaf stem itself. It's fairly simple with the shape of the round foam blending tool to keep that color right on the flower. Got just a couple more to do here. Once I have applied the color to all of these, I can add my color to the background, the sky that I want to create for my little scene. So I'll just set those aside for a second, grab my background rectangle, and I'm using Salty Ocean Distress ink to apply my color there, and then a little Twisted Citron as well. I'm going to blend those two colors together so there's just a seamless design. I want that top part to show, but just in case any of that bottom area maybe shows through anywhere, I want it to show that it's green instead of blue. Again, I spritzed it with water from a distress sprayer and dried it with a paper towel. There are my 4 layers. I am going to trim a thin strip now. This is going to be my pull tab. And I did go ahead and apply a little Twisted Citron Distress ink to that, because as it pulls through, you don't want to see white, you want to see green, I think. It's also great fun if it's a pull tab slider that's a little bit different design. You could stamp a greeting there that pulls out and is visible as you do the pull tab. With the layers I have going on here, that wasn't really feasible for this design. I have stamped 2 skunks on some smooth white cardstock using the Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink. And then I'm coloring in my images with Copic markers. The individual marker colors I'm using are shown across the bottom of the screen. I'm gradually building up to that black color for the skunk using some warm gray markers. Definitely the darker end of the spectrum, but you don't want to go too dark because you'll lose that great, more realistic looking color, and it'll just be so black it will be hard to see any detail on the images themselves. Once I get all of the dark areas of the skunks colored, I'm going to move on to my lighter gray, warm gray markers for the white areas of the skunk. Just like I don't want to go too dark with the black, I don't want to have such stark white on the white areas of the skunk. It looks really kind of unnatural. So I went in with some warm grays and added just a little bit of color, a little bit of dot detail, a little light pink for the insides of the ears, and that's that for the cute little skunks. I'll take the coordinating die and run those through my big shot. I'm going to darken the eyes and the noses on both images with the black glaze pen. That's really going to make those cute little faces stand out. Then I'm going to work on my pull tab slider and start putting my scene together. So what I want to do is flip over that back panel that has the slider cut out. So I'm just going to double check how everything is looking to see where I'm exactly going to place that back panel, because I want the skunk to move across and look like she's sliding through the grass or the little flower garden there. Definitely inspired by the animated movie Bambi, I think. As I was doing this, I know that's kind of silly, but as I was building this scene, I couldn't help but think of the little skunk from that movie that's named Flower, or Bambi names Flower, and I just thought that was kind of cute and fun. I'm also going to have a background there with another stitched rectangle. So there's something kind of behind where the pull tab slider is going to go. Before I commit to attaching anything, I did a lot of working with the different panels and pieces. I wanted to make sure I had everything exactly where it needed to go. I'm going to attach my grass layer here to the flower layer. Sometimes creating these interactive cards can be a little tricky if you don't do them very often, and I don't do these very often, but I definitely think after creating this one, I will do more. They're actually pretty easy and really fun. You could also do a penny slider if you don't want to do a pull tab. There's lots of different ways to do it. Now, back here behind the slider cutout, I had to cut a thinner strip of foam adhesive because the thick strip would show above the grass border. And I'm going to lay that there with that nice straight edge. And then I'm going to go ahead and lay my strip down, and I'm going to place another piece of adhesive on the other side. And I want to make sure that's going to slide well. And I actually didn't get that. It was too far apart. So this is where that kind of work comes in, where you need to manipulate it and make sure that you get it exactly the way you want it to go. I ended up cutting a different strip. I'll just save my other foam adhesive strip for something else. I needed it all to go all the way across. You don't want it to butt up exactly next to the pull tab slider because it could make it a little hard to pull that out, but you want it fairly close. I didn't have it close enough there with my first try with the adhesive. And that looks like it's going to work pretty good. To make it work even better, I am going to take a powder tool and run that along each of those foam adhesive sides with the backing paper still on to protect the adhesive. And that is going to help that slider move even easier. So once I have that in there, I'm going to take a couple of foam dots. You could also just trim some foam adhesive if you wanted to, but these American Crafts foam dots fit perfectly. That's going to be the stopper. You can see it stops at that end. It will also stop at the other end. You can peel off that backing paper there and then pop your image in place. I'm going to really quickly kind of I put the adhesive on there and realized then that I actually think I'm going to do some foam adhesive. Originally, I thought this was going to work. Again, this kind of goes all along with creating a style of card that I don't create very often. So when I did this, I realized while this will work, definitely, I think a little bit more dimension is going to be a little bit better. So I'm going to pop that back in place. I'll go ahead and attach my cute little skunk there. And you can see that it's going to slide perfectly. I'm just going to trim off that little excess on the right side. The left side is still pretty long. That's okay. I can trim it here in a little bit. That's no big deal. I'll go ahead and just attach that right to my background. And then I'm going to go ahead and attach my other skunk sitting there behind. I'm going to place a piece of foam adhesive along the bottom where my background didn't exactly match up, and then place another layer right on top of that, and then place some foam adhesive above that so I have a nice flat surface. And go ahead, peel that off, and now I can pop those layers in place. That additional dimension, I guess I want to say, is so going to help with the illusion of that skunk moving through the grass. It's just going to make it so much easier, and you can see how cute she moves over clear to that side. So once I have the pull tab element all in place, that's ready to go, I can work on the rest of the card. Now, if I was doing this before, I did go ahead and trim down my slider tab a little bit and rounded the corners. I would have done that before I put together the slider. It's okay that I didn't, but I think for future pull tab slider cards, I definitely will do that. Now, I did accidentally get a little bit of, I smushed the black from her eyes and nose on the image. Luckily, it's up near her hairline, and I was going to add this flower anyway, but this is a great disguising tool. You can kind of see that little black mark in her white area. So I colored in the flower from the Stinkin' Cute stamp set, used the coordinating die to die cut it, and then attached it to her head with a glue dot. Now, another thing I really wish I would have done before I attached all the layers is go ahead and stamp my greeting on that front layer along the bottom. I kind of, at the time, thought I would use a thought bubble. You may have seen me kind of playing around with that earlier in the video, and it just didn't work out at the top of the card. I felt like it was trying to squish too many things in that top area. So I laid out the greeting from the Stinkin' Cute stamp set in a straight line, picked it up with my acrylic block, and then I'm going to stamp that along the bottom edge of my card, which definitely works, but again, I wish I would have done it before attaching the layer, just in case I would have messed it up. Now, I have die cut my background rectangle. This is the A2 size stitched rectangle, and I'm applying the Salty Ocean and Twisted Citron Distress inks to this panel, following the same design as my embellished panel. Go ahead, spritz it with a little water. Go ahead and blot that dry. This is just going to serve to really help define the whole scene and make it not so plain white behind it. I went ahead and colored in the rest of my pull tab as well. Now, I wish I had a stamp that said pull here, but I don't. So I found the teeniest tiny stamp set I could find. I tried to use a Lawn Fawn one, and they were just all too big. So I found this one from Carrie Bradford. It's small letters, and I'm just going to stamp the word pull right here, so the recipient knows to pull that out to get that interactive element moving. Go ahead and attach my background to a side fold white card base. Line that up perfectly. I can also attach the middle or the main panel here to the card base as well. So I'm just going to put some nice strong adhesive using the Glue Glider Permatac adhesive. Attach that right in the center. I think that the background makes a huge difference here. Add a little wink of Stella to the Distress Inked flowers and the flower in the skunk's hair. And also I went and cleaned it off in between doing the pink and the red. I stamped a small heart from Stinkin' Cute next to the greeting. And then I decided that it's totally cute the way it is and it would be great, but I wanted to add a little bit more to the card design, a few more embellishments. So I took some images from the Gleeful Gardens stamp set, the snail, and then I'm going to actually end up using 3 mushrooms, 2 small and 1 large. Colored those in with Copic markers. I'll die cut those with the coordinating Gleeful Gardens dies. And then I'm going to use those to finish building this cute garden scene. And again, you definitely would not have to add these. It's just one of those great things about the Lawn Fawn stamps and dies is that you can mix and match the stamps to do all kinds of different scene building. And I absolutely love that. I think it's so cute and fun to be able to mix and match the different stamp sets together to create your own design. So I attached the snail and one of the mushrooms there in the front, and I'll attach the other 2 mushrooms to the back. I think that really fills it all in, completes the card, and that is going to finish off my pull tab slider card. And there is the cute little skunk. She just slides back and forth, super easy and so cute, so fun, and such a great way to create an interactive card. Thanks for joining me for the Lawn Fawn Pull Tab Slider card showcasing the Stinkin' Cute stamps and dies. The supplies I've used to create this card are listed and linked below the video on YouTube. Here are a couple more Lawn Fawn videos you might be interested in. Please subscribe for weekly card making and stamping videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.